Okay, well, I suppose there was the vision of how would the world be different? And I suppose I'm thinking of cottage industry. Now, in the chat, I was saying rather than tax and spend, I see a second order productivity improvement. Now, maybe you've heard all this stuff before, that you have poverty traps, and the sentiment with the UBI is you get a bit of money, but you don't need to stress yourself over going to the CES and justifying yourself. Or if there are job agencies, there are options you seek out voluntarily. And there might even be volunteer bureaus where you seek those options out if you want to partake of them. But the point is, because you have a whole lot of people that are less stressed and are hopefully looking for productive things to do. Now, that might be economically productive in the sense of a cottage industry at home where they grow veggies and sell them, or they volunteer to, mow local sports fields or whatever. But, I guess my vision is that we have a whole lot of cottage industry just dispersed around the whole community, and that can be labelled as a productivity improvement because you've removed the barriers to that sort of initiative that exists at the moment. So I suppose there was the idea of tax and spend, and I sort of see that rather than saying you have to tax a certain amount in order to pay for the UBI, once you get things started, you actually get the economy revving up in a whole lot of distributed cottage industry sort of ways. And so the economy revs up and you actually have more money to route through to do stuff with. And I suppose there you're talking about embracing some of the mainstream economic picture. And I suppose I do tend to think that there is something called productive economic activity, where people actually open factories and make stuff, as compared to speculation in property or whatever, which really isn't that useful economic activity. But with economics, you can just say, oh, the market will sort it out, we don't have to worry about the detail. But I do tend to think, look, there is worthwhile economic activity and less worthwhile economic activity, and it is worth making that distinction. And that as you introduce UBI, the economy revs up and you actually have more money to redistribute, or more economic activity from which to extract money to redistribute. But I can continue to meander with what I'm saying, but yeah, that's filling in the point I'm making.
I've heard some of that before, but not all of it. Yeah, I think the point that resonates with me is what we've seen a lot is the rise of this thing called the precariat, people who have volatile income, and people who do stuff on a cottage industry basis, as you might term it. I think that's definitely quite a volatile income. You don't know, how much stuff you're going to sell this week. So the traditional job seeker approach doesn't work for them at all. They're effectively self-employed. Well, let's be, never mind effectively, they are self-employed. They just have a small business and its income is very volatile. So a UBI approach is actually ideal for them, because they'll pay plenty of tax when they're doing well, but doing well is going to be spiky. So a basic income can cushion that out and spread it out for them. And if you look at people through history, a lot of behavior can be explained by risk management. Traditional peasants, going back to subsistence agriculture, it's a bit of a recurring theme for me, would have fields distributed all around the valley in a whole bunch of different microclimates. So if any one bit failed, they'd still be okay. And you can explain a lot of other pre-modern behavior in terms of just limiting catastrophic risk. But when there is a bigger safety net, and indeed, I like to think of a basic income as a safety trampoline, people can take bigger risks and have bigger payoffs.